Welcome back to the Better Late Than Never Club. I'm Beck.
And I'm Frost.
And tonight we dive into the beginning of a trilogy.
Is it just a trilogy?
Well, let's get into it. So we're watching Ocean's 11.
Which I don't think I've seen. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen it.
Which surprises me, because it's definitely a film that I think you and I would both enjoy.
Yeah, I love a heist film.
I have all the excuses for why I haven't seen movies, but you...
I mean,
what's your excuse?
I don't know. That's why I think I've surely seen it. I can tell you nothing about it other than it's a heist film, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is accurate.
I'm not even like 100% sure what kind of heist film. Like, are they, I know it's not I don't know for sure. I know it's not like a card counting Vegas, heist like in 21. I think it's probably more like a bank vault style heist.
Okay.
But I don't know what the ceiling. I feel like that's pretty important to know if you'd seen the film.
That's fair. So you've either forgotten basically everything about it or you haven't seen it.
Right, exactly.
Well, according to my research, it is a heist comedy crime.
Ooh, film. Comedy. A little bit of amuse-bouche comedy sprinkled in there. Which
I think I kind of got from the vibe anyway.
I don't know the vibe.
Well, I've always known it was like a pretty big ensemble cast.
Yeah. Which
tends to veer usually more comedy, at least with the size of this cast.
Okay.
So I wrote down some notable names. Obviously, this is not an exclusive list.
I think I know 3 notable names.
Hit me.
George Clooney.
Yep.
He's the guy I associate with
the Oceans franchise.
All of Oceans.
Got it.
He is Oceans and possibly also 11.
Uh-huh.
I think Brad Pitt.
Correct.
Is in it. And Matt Damon.
Correct.
So other than
those are 3 of the names I wrote down.
Those I don't know anyone else though.
I also wrote down Casey Affleck of Ben Affleck's brothers fame.
Huh.
I also don't think he's a great guy, but again, we're separating that for now. I'm just writing down his name as a recognizable name.
No, Beck, that makes you a bad person for writing down Casey Affleck's name.
Lock me up. Don Cheadle.
Oh, yeah, I do like Don Cheadle.
And Julia Roberts.
Julia Roberts. I know the name.
Oh my God. Listener, this is what I have to deal with.
Is she in Hocus Pocus? Is she one of the 3 witches?
That sigh came through as dramatically as it needed to on the mic.
Or am I thinking of someone else?
That is not Julia Roberts. I don't even know who you're thinking about in Hocus Pocus. That could be mistaken for Julia Roberts.
There's the 3 witches.
None of them are Julia Roberts.
Oh. I'll see Sarah Jessica Parker. Yep.
Oh my God. The face blindness sometimes comes through like a absolute wrecking ball.
Are they even remotely similar?
They're both women. They're both actresses.
Okay.
I guess, not really. Not to someone that has eyeballs.
Okay.
Okay. Julia Roberts she's in Pretty Woman.
Oh.
Yeah, which we've seen.
Yeah. Is she like the main actress in Pretty Woman? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I'm like, when your brain just falters because she's in so much. She's been around for so long.
Yeah, she's in a bit.
My brain is like stuttering to name other things she's in. She's actually in another film that I'm going to mention because the director, Steven Soderbergh, Soderbergh, I guess.
Soderbergh sounds good.
He directed Erin Brockovich, which she was also in and starred in
there you go.
As the main character.
Now,
she's also in a lot of other things, but we'll stay there for now.
Pretty Woman, that was like early 90s, right? We did that already.
So, yeah.
And that was like the thing that kicked off her career.
One of the, definitely early on in her career.
And this is, 2001? So, 10 years into Julia Roberts' career, she is established.
Yeah.
So she's one of the big names alongside the other big names.
I guess so. I think she's definitely not as big. She doesn't rank, I guess, as highly as the George Clooney. He's obviously the top billing in this particular film.
Yeah.
But she's up there. And in terms of, I went through this list of names of the cast. She stuck out to me as someone that that went on and maintains her fame and infamy. Infamy is the wrong word. She's not, you know what I mean?
Fame and prestige.
Yeah. So this film is the beginning of a trilogy, which goes on to be Ocean's 12 and Ocean's 13. And then a handful of years ago, they made a spin-off with all women called Ocean's 8.
Okay.
But in its entirety, this film is a remake of a 1960 movie of the same name. I think I knew
that, actually. I think I did know that there was an old version of this.
Yeah. Well, I didn't. So that was interesting to learn. It had the same name, and it was made by the Rat Pack, which is a phrase that I've heard, but I didn't know what it meant.
That's not anything that's meaningful to me.
Well, it doesn't mean anything to me either until I looked it up. I've just heard it. It was an informal group of singers, and then they became filmmakers. Basically, a bunch of famous people that got together and made things.
Yeah.
So we're talking like A-listers from the like 40s and 50s and 60s, right? So we're big names like Nat King Cole, Mickey Rooney, Judy Garland, Frank Sinatra.
They just decided to start making films.
Humphrey Bogart. I guess they ultimately made films and they appeared together at casino venues to like, you know, as a group, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, kind of informal in terms of, I guess I don't think they made a studio.
Well, they probably didn't have a Facebook group.
So yeah, they appeared together in films, including this one back in the 60s. And yeah, I didn't list all their names either. I named the ones that I recognize.
Probably 11 of them.
Well, I think it was sort of a rotating group,
so
depending on who.
This film, which is a remake of the 1960 film, was the 1960 film just the Rat Pack endeavors? We go to the casino, let's do a heist film because that'll be hilarious because next time they see us in a casino, we're famous heisters.
I don't know.
Or is it based on a book or anything like that?
Seemingly just based on the movie.
Interesting.
So the movie was the first iteration.
I get the idea that George Clooney fashions himself as a Humphrey Bogart of his generation. You know what I mean?
I don't know enough about Humphrey Bogart to back you up on that.
I think, isn't Bogart the guy who's like, here's looking at you, kid, from Casablanca?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the point.
I'm pretty sure he is. And if not...
yeah, I mean, George Clooney's kind of an interesting one because I feel like he sort of stopped acting a little bit.
Yeah, well,
which is fine because
he's been in a few things.
He's obviously been in a lot, but he hasn't kept up his, I guess, frequency, which is fine because he married a super impressive lawyer lady who, I don't even need to say lawyer lady, she's just a lawyer. And they had like kids and he's just living his best life being in coffee commercials now. So
that's... Like the reason I was like, oh no, George Clooney's still in stuff. Yeah, he's in the coffee commercials. Of course.
I mean, I know he's still acting, but I guess he definitely, there was a few years where he was in a lot of stuff, right? Like he was at the peak of his career.
I'm a bit of a George Clooney fan, not like a huge fanboy. Like I don't have all,
sure.
But I like the idea of George Clooney. We won't tell him
about your shrine.
Yeah, about the George Clooney shrine. No, I mean, like, you know, George Clooney for me is like when I was young, he was the actor that everyone put on a pedestal.
Right.
He was, you know, 5 years running Time's sexiest man or whatever. Yeah. And, you know, he had that look, that mystique. And I feel like every instance of, like, the most interesting man in the world, Dos Equis, I feel like that's trying to be George Clooney.
Yeah,
that's
fair.
He had
I feel like, I don't know, off the top of my head, he doesn't have sort of a bad story about him. I mean, you know what I mean? He's never had... I mean, like, take an example. He got picked up
by this lawyer and she said, come with me.
Well, take an example. Let's compare him to Brad Pitt. They're probably like, I don't know how many years are between them. But they're not that many. Not that different, I don't think.
No.
Whereas Brad Pitt's had this sort of fall from...
Yeah, he's had 3 wives and...
Well, and like...
The rest.
And yeah, there's a lot of complicated stories about his behaviour and antics. And I don't think I can say any of that about George Clooney.
Yeah, look, let's not Google this at all and hope that George Clooney has remained a gentleman.
We'll live in naivety.
Hasn't pulled a Dave Grohl on us. Yeah, let's enjoy that. What else? What else do you know about this film? Because I know I'm tapped out.
Sure. So, I mean, I am in terms of what I knew prior. I knew it was a heist.
Maybe they're stealing the ocean.
Sorry?
No, nothing.
I'll have to hear it on the edit. Other fun facts about this film, it was a success. It was the 5th highest grossing film of 2001.
Oh, damn.
So pretty good. It was directed by Steven Soderbergh, who has directed a fair few films, but not a whole lot that I recognized. The only ones that I wrote down 3. He did the trilogy, so he did the Ocean's trilogy, but I wrote down his first like big narrative directorial debut was something called Sex, Lies and Videotape.
I've heard of that.
Which I'd vaguely heard of, but I have no idea what it is.
I think that also has Clooney in it.
Maybe. And then I also wrote down Aaron Brockovich. because I want to see that and I am aware of that film. And then a recent film that he did in 2023, because he's still directing. He's got a film this year. But he did 2023, he did Magic Mike's Last Dance, which made me laugh.
Like he did Magic Mike's Last Dance, but not the original Magic Mike.
No.
That's funny.
Because I think there's been like 3 or 4 Magic Mike films.
Yeah.
So they've shopped around for directors, I guess, to finish off that franchise.
Do you reckon this means that Magic Mike's last hurrah, whatever it was called, is a heist film?
Probably not. I don't know. I mean, Aaron Brockovich is not a comedy. So it's not like this guy only does comedy heist films, you know.
That's a shame.
Anyway, so he's got a fair breadth of directing experience from what I can tell. I just haven't seen a whole lot of his films.
Soderbergh's got chops.
I think that the Oceans franchise was definitely like the biggest blip on his filmography timeline in terms of success, you know, and knowability.
Recognition.
You know what I'm saying. Anyway, that's about it. That's all I really know. I also believe that it's a heist film, but I don't really know anything about it. I guess the only other thing I do know, and that was sort of confirmed by my research, is that the 11 in Ocean's 11 refers to the 11 members of the heist team.
Do you think to justify the sequels, they just added more people to the crew?
That would be funny, yeah. They just had one in each of them, because it's Ocean's 12 and Ocean's 13.
Especially if they just broke fourth wall and be like, this can't be a sequel without one extra character.
Yeah. Well, I have no idea, and we're probably not going to watch all 3 movies tonight, so let's just dive into the first of the trilogy, Ocean's 11, and see what George Clooney was like in 2001.
First, we meet career thief Danny Ocean, freshly released from a stint in the clink. No time wasted, Danny begins assembling a motley crew, bent on pulling off a most daring heist, the safe under 3 of Las Vegas's biggest casinos. Each member of the crew has a role, from explosives, acrobatics, or simply financing the whole operation. Meticulous planning commences, and Rusty, Danny's closest conspirator, discovers that Tess Ocean, Danny's estranged wife, is now dating the owner of the target casinos. After some close calls and near misses, the team successfully break their way into the highly secure safe. But wait, casino owner Benedict does not give up so easily. Alerting the authorities, a SWAT team descends on the vault, only to discover he has been duped again. Danny's crew intercepted this call and posed as the SWAT team, only to stroll away $150 million richer. Along the way, Danny manages to show Tess that her new boyfriend cares more for his money than for her, and the pair are reunited. Here's some deeper thoughts on the matter.
So remind me what you were saying about this not being a casino heist.
No, what I meant was it wasn't like a card-taking, like... There's a movie called 21 or Blackjack or something, and it's all about counting cards.
I see.
And that's like, I knew it wasn't that kind of film, but like as the credits are pre-rolling, I was like, oh, maybe it's a jailbreak film because we're getting jailhouse noises. Mm-hmm. So I really didn't know. I haven't seen this film.
Well, now you have.
Now I have.
What do you think?
I really liked it, and George Clooney is way more attractive than Brad Pitt.
You heard it here first, folks.
I mean, you know, here's what gets me. I feel like people think Brad Pitt is more attractive. And I don't see that.
I just think different strokes for different folks, you know?
Yeah, all right. It's George Clooney, though. I don't know.
I mean, they're both attractive men. I think we just both prefer George Clooney.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And like now I feel like coffee.
Right.
So his advertising works really well.
Yeah.
So there is that.
I think that movie is a very good heist movie. And I love a good heist movie, so I enjoyed it a lot.
It had all the right tropes of a heist movie, and I wonder if it was one of the first heist movies to do the tropes.
You say that about every movie that's really good. You're like, I wonder if this is the movie that started. I mean, it probably wasn't, based on the fact that it's based on a 1960 film.
Yeah, well, sorry, I guess that's where I'm going with.
Do you mean like modern heist movies, maybe?
Well, no, I don't know. Like, let's just say the 1960s one does it in a similar way, where they do the thing where they're planning and then they do a bit of action, and then it shows more of what they did in the planning stage, and then it does some of the action.
Yeah.
I really like that sort of flashback showing what is going on while they're doing narration. Like that kind of like, that is a heist movie classic for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think some heist movies do it's a tough job to balance the sort of acts of between like the preamble, the preparation and the planning.
Yeah.
And then the pulling off the heist.
The execution.
Those elements all have to have their own time and can't be rushed.
No.
And this film does a really good job of giving enough time to the preparatory stage so that it feels like a good payoff.
Yeah, like you get this, we gather the crew and get everyone together, and not everyone knows each other, but everyone's got good references, which is such a funny thing to think about. Like, oh, you know, your Bobby's kid was said to Matt Damon's character a few times.
A good example of a heist film that we watched that we thought didn't do quite as good of a job was National Treasure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that
I mean, obviously that movie is a lot more than a heist movie, but it has a heist component within it.
Yeah.
We also watched Mission Impossible.
Which had elements of a heist.
Which is basically a heist film.
Yeah.
I think this is a better heist film because, look, okay, maybe it's hard to say. They're different.
It's because of George Clooney, isn't it? It's his face.
It helps.
It helps. He didn't even get his shirt off.
That's not a requirement. I think that Mission Impossible was a little bit more unrealistic, and I know it sounds like, so it felt a little bit more like almost fantasy heist, as in, you know, it's they're doing a lot of crazy stuff with crazy tech, whereas this almost felt believable because so much of Ocean's 11 is bluffing.
Yeah, playing people.
It's just human, like, psychology basically working for them. Obviously, like, you know,
they had some technology made up stuff like the wiretaps in the data center, like that's all.
Yeah, and then like the what was it called? Not the squeeze.
Oh, the big EMP. I mean, EMPs are real. I don't know if they work like that.
Sure, but I guess that's slightly more
pinch.
believable. The pinch, thank you. So this felt realistic, which, well, you know, obviously realism. I mean, within a grand scheme of things,
you didn't have to suspend too much disbelief.
No.
That's really what we're saying.
And also, I enjoyed that the bad guys, so that the casino crew and owner acted in a believable way.
Yeah, yep.
At no point did they get duped in a way that I thought, oh, well, they're just idiots.
So when he called in, I can't remember his name. I want to say Vito, like Vito Corleone.
Which one?
The casino owner.
Benedict.
When Benedict called in the SWAT team and Brad Pitt's character, Rusty, was distracted talking to Tess, I was like, oh, because he's pulled the phone away from his ear, I wonder if he's now missed the fact that he was meant to overhear Benedict calling the SWAT team, and that's one of the other things that's going to go wrong. Because a few things went wrong in like believable, like just a couple of little things that by themselves don't upset the plan, and any reasonable person goes, well, that's not enough to upset the plan. But we as the viewer are like, oh no. Well,
the biggest ones that cropped up that definitely weren't part of the plan was that guy recognizing Saul in the casino.
Yeah.
And then we had, of course, the briefcase being placed on top of Yen in the safe. And then also with Yen, his bandage getting stuck.
Yeah, because he'd hurt his hand.
Trying to get away from the door being blown up.
I did wonder how his hurt hand was going to come into it.
I think most of the other things were by design.
Yeah, but, well, that's also another thing is so many things went wrong that were like, oh, no, that's out of their control. That when the things that were going wrong by design were going wrong, you're like, oh, no. Yeah. Like when Saul got sick.
Yes,
we were
I was
both
like,
stressed.
oh no, Saul. And then what I really enjoyed was the twins, which is Casey Affleck and Scott Kahn, who I'm not as familiar with. They played twin brothers. And they kind of were this catch-all. They didn't have a particular role. Yeah. But they were doing all of these, like, they played all these different roles. They were
the odd jobs.
Yeah, they played the security. They played the
paramedics.
They played
the money running.
Yeah, they played all these kinds of roles, and they were great. And I liked how most of their roles required them to, like, argue or fight. Yeah. In some regard.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
That was pretty funny. I thought that, as a general cast, it was a really... Everyone played their part really well, and I don't just mean that in the heist sense. I mean that in an acting sense as well.
Yeah, and Brad Pitt and George Clooney had really good chemistry.
They do.
Like they were very believable as lifelong friends and associates. Yeah. And that was really good. So props to both those guys. But,
I really liked the kind of, at the beginning of the film, the progression of, obviously... Danny Ocean has this plan, and his plan is steeped in the idea of getting his ex-wife back. Yeah. So it's a good reason. Love is as good a reason as any. Yeah. And so he has, because it is a bit like, well, why are you doing this if you just got out of jail?
Yeah, right? Yeah. I mean, like, one last job.
Yeah. And then obviously he gets Rusty on board. pretty easily because, like you said, lifelong friends, good. They have really good chemistry. And then, but they're like, how on earth are we going to do this? And then they're like, well, we got to get someone else with a grudge. So they get the rich guy.
What was his name? It was like Ruben. It was Ruben. Ruben was his name.
Yeah. What was his name? Ruben.
I never remember names. I'm so proud of myself.
I mean, look, there's a lot of characters in this film, so I would not besmirch you from... I'm literally looking at a list in order to remind myself of all their names. So, yeah, and I enjoyed all the different quirks of the different people, like the electronics guy and his nerves and his little scene where his instructions get wiped off from sweat on his hand. And it was really good. I enjoyed... the only... if we're talking individual performances...
Okay, yeah, no, you got to say it.
Don Cheadle's...
Love him. Love the guy.
Love the guy. But his British accent in this film... Because everyone else is American, or you've got Yen, who has his own native accent that fits him. Don Cheadle is American, but he plays like a guy with a thick British accent.
And let us tell you, dear listener, Don Cheadle's British accent, it's not that great.
It just doesn't suit him either.
It's not that great.
Not only is it like not very great, it's distractingly bad.
That's distractingly bad. That's not what you want. As an actor, you don't...
Hello,
you know
Kiri.
who else is distractingly bad? It's Kiri. Come on, hop up or stay down. Anyway, Don Cheadle's distractingly bad accent was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I wonder how he felt about being cast as a British guy. Do you reckon it was like they cast Don Cheadle as an American guy? Like, we've got too many Americans in this.
We've got to mix it up a bit.
Mix it up. Can anyone do a British accent? And everyone tried, and Don Cheadle's was the best.
I'll do it. It's terrible. You know,
Maybe he did it as a dare.
there was a couple of good twists as well. Obviously, especially in the end when they're kind of giving the big reveal of how they got everything out, there was a couple of back-to-back twists with like the SWAT team and everything.
Reveal, yeah. The SWAT team reveal I didn't see coming.
I think one of my favorite twists was the big bruiser guy that walks in to beat up Danny Ocean.
Yeah.
And then he hits him and he's like, no, dude, wait till later. And because he's working... that they never really explained how that came about. That was the only bit they didn't really show.
He touched on it, but they didn't show it.
They didn't show it,
So the implication is that he knew him and he said, you're going to do this thing and I'll give you a couple of $1 million. Yeah. If you cover for me for half an hour.
Yeah.
Which is pretty brilliant.
That was pretty great. I did, I enjoyed the bad guy. I think Benedict, like you said, as the credits were rolling, he played
what actor
really
was that,
good,
sorry?
I think his name's Garcia. Let me check. Andy Garcia.
Because he was sinister. He really had mafia boss, evil guy energy. It's why I wanted to call him Vito Corleone, because he just has
He was in The Godfather Part 3.
There you go. It just has a real big bad guy energy and does it so well. Yeah,
he did really well. And it's not kind of traditional bad guy, like villain, like killing people, although obviously he does have that reputation clearly.
It's implied, certainly.
But it was just... rich guy has ultimate control, like he's not used to not having control. And
and we only get to see like his like rough around the edges, underbelly side in like one or two scenes where he's making threats, but it's not anything that's like I don't know how to phrase it. He did a very good job of having like this I'm on the floor, I look like a normal business manager guy, to where in my vault security room I now look somehow evil. Like he did a really good job considering he didn't have exactly a big speaking role.
No, but he had an important role.
Yeah, and he played it really well.
I
didn't feel bad that he got robbed.
No, of course not.
Because I felt
look, everything Danny Ocean said was right. I mean, the house always wins, and they are, there is an inherently predatory vibe to casinos.
Yeah.
Right? I really enjoyed seeing Matt Damon as well. He's a little bit younger.
Yeah, like baby Damon.
Yeah, I mean, he's not that baby, but...
This is just after his big break in Saving Private Ryan and Good Will Hunting.
Is it?
Yeah, so I think those are 98, 99.
I see.
So he has just been like made a big name. The reason I'm so like familiar with those two films is his... Am I wrong?
I mean, he's 31 in this.
Yeah.
So let's see.
What was it, 95 for Saving Private Ryan?
It was 97 for Good Will Hunting, and then...
Either later 97 or 98 for Saving Private Ryan.
Saving Private Ryan was 98.
So the reason I goes Good Will Hunting and Saving Private Ryan is because Spielberg wanted somebody who was like unknown to play the titular role of Private Ryan, and he was really miffed when
Good Will Hunting came out and he was really good and
he won
everyone loved him.
Oscars for it or something. Like he basically was immediately recognized on screen as a brand name actor, so that when Tom Hanks goes up and says, "Are you Private Ryan?" the audience is looking at him going, of course, that's the Private Ryan, because every other Private Ryan we've run into so far has just been some nameless hack. And this is Matt Damon, sweetheart of America.
Yeah, that's funny. I didn't realize they were so back to back, 97, 98, and then this is 2001.
Yeah.
What I also didn't realize is that he was, for some reason, I thought he was really young.
They dressed him up as really young and good.
I mean, he has a bit of baby face.
Yeah.
Even in this, he does not look 31.
No.
He looks at most mid-20s.
Yeah.
If not younger, you could argue. He's definitely meant to be younger in this than 31. But he does a really good job of acting that, like, he clearly has a lot of respect, and he is the young buck in this team. And the scene where he goes in to the science building and messes up their little... Yeah, that was very funny.
Yeah, that was nearly like derailed the whole thing.
Yeah.
The overall, writing, solid. Story, solid. Plot twists, excellent. Didn't see him coming. Did you see it coming, the SWAT team?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Definitely not. I was, as they were explaining and as they kept blowing up the money,
Yeah.
it wasn't money, but they blew them up. I was like, what did they actually do?
Yeah, how did they...
I'm trying to figure out, was the whole thing just to
Blow
get
up
rid
the
of this
money.
guy's money?
Yeah.
Like, and then, so that was really good. I definitely did not see it coming. I wonder if someone who really has an ear for it could recognize Brad Pitt's voice, because he speaks to him in the vault.
Oh, yeah.
He says, like, it's your vault.
Yep.
Blue team, let's go. Like so maybe if you were really on the ball there, but otherwise I'm not sure
That's really funny.
if anyone would be able to pick up on that before it happens, before they reveal it.
I'm ready to rate it.
Oh, really? I was just going to say the music was really good. The score was perfect for a heist film. Wasn't the focus of the movie, but it kept up the energy really well.
Yeah, and it was like you could tell when they were going to go into a new planning bit, because that bass line took up like okay, so here's the plan. Bam, bum, 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 bum. So good.
Frosty has a special appreciation for a good bass line.
I love a good bass line.
And it had the right tension throughout the whole movie. I was genuinely nervous for portions of it, even though I was like...
You were stressed for Yen.
I was stressed for Yen and I was stressed for Saul until it was revealed that he was passing out on purpose.
Yep.
So yeah, appropriate amount of stress, because, in a heist movie with 11 moving parts, there is not guaranteed survival of everyone.
I am surprised that there were no casualties.
Yeah.
Very, very good outcome for the heisting team.
Indeed.
So
The only thing that I think would have added to it for me was I wanted to see like a roll credits. What did they all do with their money?
I mean, technically speaking, we turned this on as the credits rolled. It might have like
I don't think so.
a cut back.
That's not a common thing back in 2001.
Yeah, but like you just sort of said, maybe they just...
They normally would
tacked it
do
up.
that, like, as the credits start. We saw, like, a good 20 seconds of credits with nothing. Who
And
knows?
it's a big film, big
Google it in a
budget film.
second,
Yeah.
but-
If there's, dear listener, if there is an after credits scene, you
We
best
haven't seen it.
believe we haven't seen it, and we're going to go watch it. If there isn't one, we won't.
So you're ready to rate.
I mean, yeah, I really enjoyed this film, and short and sweet. Yeah, we've talked about what we need to talk about: actors and plot and music and all the wonderful things. Kiri even came over here and said her bit. Now she's standing over there looking sulky.
I'm trying to think how high I want to rate this.
I mean, how much did you enjoy it? That's the question.
I will say, before I rate, I felt a little... Again, I'm saying this with zero advice on how I would add or fix this, but I felt a tiny bit shortchanged on having a more established history between George Clooney and Julia Roberts.
I agree with you. That's
So,
the one thing that...
I wasn't invested in the idea of them getting back together.
Right, and in fact, I didn't think they particularly had any chemistry.
Yeah, they're okay. I mean, who doesn't have chemistry with George Clooney?
Yeah, George Clooney was on screen and had chemistry. I mean, those two particularly didn't have chemistry in a way that...
They have more friend. They have friend vibes.
Right, and I just... I agree with you. If they could have put 10 more minutes into this film, it should have definitely been put into some Tess and George Clooney situation.
Tess and Danny Ocean.
Danny Ocean. Because, like, yeah, you're dead right. He says to the parole officer, my wife left me, so I went and got in trouble. It would have been nice to, like, maybe disclose that maybe they were doing something a little bit shady together and he took the fall for her.
I don't think that's the implication
No,
because
it's not.
she says,
Yeah.
you know, you were lying about being a thief.
Yeah.
So that they give a tiny bit of history. I did enjoy the way that they manufactured it so that she saw the kind of real seedy side of Benedict without having to do anything. They didn't have to give up the money, which was like the con.
To circle back to the Tess Danny Ocean thing real quick, do you remember when Danny Ocean runs into Rusty at that High Rollers B grade actors card game, whatever?
Yeah. With all those cameos.
And Rusty sort of says he got done for stealing some kind of matrimonial mask, right?
Yeah.
And if you'll remember, Tess is a museum curator, and I wonder if that's like...
He maybe messed up her business.
That's why she had to leave town.
That's true.
So...
That's probably a much better call there, but they didn't... That's where now you're figuring that out at this point.
Yeah, I mean, like, I am
clear.
a big fan of subtle storytelling that makes that respects the viewer.
It makes you feel smart.
I still didn't think they had enough chemistry for... here's the thing. I got the vibe that she was done. She played that part well.
Yes.
And that he was like, no, Tess, take me back. And I don't respect you for that, Clooney. Right? If she says no, you move on.
There wasn't quite enough reasoning for us to think, oh, yeah, they should get back together.
Right, exactly.
But especially given that it's been 4 years.
Yeah, like, if she hadn't sent divorce papers, if she was like, I didn't know you were getting out, and he's like, I got paroled, and then she was like, you know, maybe there was some regret, like she's with this, you know, multi-hundred millionaire dude who's been nice to her, and
well, he's not that nice to her.
In her words, doesn't make her cry.
Yeah.
Doesn't make her laugh, but doesn't make her cry.
That's a good line, though.
Yeah.
Does he make you laugh?
Yeah.
He doesn't make me cry.
Yeah. There's some good dialogue. I don't know.
There is good dialogue. And it is funny. Like, it's not like a comedy, but it is funny enough that I can understand why they would call this comedy crime.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's,
for sure.
There are some...
It's clever.
Comedic moments.
Yeah. I did like, probably one of my favorite lines is between Danny and Rusty when he's like, did you practice that speech? He said, yeah, I think I rushed it. Could you tell?
Yeah.
No, you did great.
Yeah, that for me, that was
very natural.
That cemented there, like, yeah, these guys are friends.
Yeah.
Because he might have just said, you practice that speech, and he hadn't practiced the speech. He just is riffing, and it's so funny. It's really good. My favorite bit was when they're going to blow the vault and Yen is trapped in the vault door and they haven't put batteries in the detonator. Oh. And Matt Damon's character is like...
Pulls out a bag of batteries.
Yeah, it's like, you got to be prepared. People get hurt when you make mistakes like this if your head's not in the game. And it's funny. It's just funny.
Also, then when they like detonate it and like they jump...
Because like, he's just put it out, he's clicked it to test it and it goes... yeah.
It was really good.
So that was my favorite bit.
Fair enough.
And so I'm going to rate it. You ready? Do you have a number in mind? You don't want to steal my number?
Hang on.
Because if I say a number, then you're going to be influenced.
Let me get one in the brain hole. All right, I have a number.
So I'm going to rate this 8.9 sweaty data center operators out of 10.
Of course, you'd go for that metric.
I have to.
I am going to go for a shocking 9.5 briefcases handcuffed to wrists out of 10.
That's a respectable number. I'm surprised you're rating it so highly after the Julia Roberts of it all, because that is what pinched it down for me.
I still like Julia Roberts. I think she did a good job.
Yeah, no, she did a great job. I just meant the story behind her was flimsy.
Yeah.
I would have liked more.
That's true, but that's a 0.5 amount for me.
And then Don Cheadle's accent.
All right, maybe 9.4. Knock it off another one just for Don Cheadle's accent.
That's it, isn't it?
What a great heist film. I would say anyone out there listening that enjoys heist films or George Clooney or really hates casinos would like this film.
Yeah. There's a lot of reasons to like this film. I don't think there's any good reasons. It's only 2 hours. It's a nice, easy, watchable package.
Yep. It's a watchable package. That's what you want out of the movie. It's a package.
You can just put it right in front of you and stare at it. It's a very watchable package.
It is. It's an enjoyable movie. It's not too high-strung that it's not enjoyable. Like, I was tense, but for the right reasons.
The comedy really helps relieve that as well.
Exactly.
I want to go see the other ones now. So...
Go see them? in the cinema?
Go out to the
Like a film?
the cinema and see the film.
I have good news. We have access to that from the comfort of our own home.
Yeah, well, I want to go see them in this couch that I'm at and on that TV that's over there.
I think that'll do us for Ocean's 11. Let us know your thoughts on this 2001 heist classic. If you have any other recommendations, either along these lines or something completely different, if you want to listen to us talk more about Brad Pitt, because this is our third Brad Pitt film, our second in a month of Brad Pitt. So
it's a lot of Brad Pitt, and I'm a bit over it. But if you want more Brad Pitt, dear listener,
I mean, you'd have to twist our arm, but if you ask, we will do it.
He was great in Fury. He was great in Inglourious Basterds. He's not a bad actor. I'm just a bit sick of him.
We've just seen a lot of him.
We've seen a lot of Brad Pitt.
It's true. But let us know what you want us to watch next, or your thoughts on this movie, or anything else. Just how's your day?
Yeah, come talk to us on Patreon, Instagram. Those are probably the best two spots because we check those frequently, but Facebook as well if you're keen. We've got an email address. I'm not telling it to you. You've got to sleuth that out yourself. It is findable. You can find it. If you email me on it, I will reply incredulously and also proud of you, dear listener.
On that note, till next time.
Till next time.
This episode of the Better Late Than Never Club is brought to you by our patrons. Alex, Christopher, Lindy, Matthew, Nathan, and Rachel.
And also our members, Aimless, Andrew, Raina, Salty Pond, and Simon.
Thank you for listening.